Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our webinar, an event jointly hosted by PwC and SAP. First of all, my name is Gabriel Voicila. First of all, a little bit of logistics. So for those who just connected, please, if you have questions, you can type them in the Q&A section in the lower right corner of your screen. Those questions will be collected and we will answer them at the end of the presentation when we have the Q&A session. Also, if you have any troubles with the connection, you have on the screen a few instructions about how to tweak your computer connection. But I hope this is fine. And with this, let me go and start this presentation. We want to talk to you today about business planning in an integrated way. And the agenda for today, as you see it on the screen, will include a short business overview and setting up the context of why do we want to talk about integrated business planning. Then we go more in detail, and we will discuss about the solution, about the whole design to operate concept. We have also a demo session prepared toward the end, and then we have a Q&A session. That being said, I would like to briefly introduce the speakers of today. Each of us would introduce themselves when they start to discuss, so that we don't spend time now with the introduction. And with this, I will kickstart with the first topic on the agenda, if everybody can hear me fine. All right, so what is integrated business planning and why do we want to talk about this today? So first of all, you have to understand that integrated business planning is a way to shift the focus from only the sales and operations planning beyond the supply chain in order to be able to capture the input of the executive stakeholders who run the company, and while focusing on the needs of the client. It's so important in this context. And in order for you to understand better what we are talking about, I want to give you a little bit of a historical perspective, and for this we have quoted this chart, which I found very interesting, from a book by Joran Korem, The Global Manufacturing Revolution. And one of the first things that I found very interesting was that the author was saying the main challenge in writing the book about globalization was that the pace of globalization was exceeding my abilities to write the book fast. So tremendous change. This is the point he makes. At the same time, what is relevant for us to discuss in this context is not necessarily the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, as you can see in the 1850s. But it is interesting to make a parallel because, as you can see, on the chart we talk about product variety, or the author talks about product variety versus product volume per variant. So at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, there were lots and lots of varieties because everybody was manufacturing a unique product. Every shop would have to start from zero and create a unique product. And the more advances have been brought to the manufacturing, we started to go to a lower product variety, but increasing the volume. You see, at the beginning of the previous century, the assembly line has been introduced. You can think of Ford, inventing the assembly line and churning out the Model A and Model Ts in high volumes. And then towards the 1950s, we started introducing some automation to and computers to the manufacturing, and then mass production reached the peak. But as we go further and we go more to our times, the need of the client started to change. So we wanted to have more products in different varieties, some of them custom. And what was the impact on manufacturing? The assembly line had to be adapted in a faster way in order to change the products. And then globalization started, and we had a revolution in the supply chain. And all of this, manufacturing in China, supplying to the Western world, all of the thousands of parts and interconnected actors had a tremendous impact on the supply chain. And what are we seeing today? We are in front of an impact driven by geopolitics, a lot of tension between US and China and other countries. Also, we have to bring in the pandemic impact, which has exposed a lot of vulnerabilities, especially in the industries which are considered to be critical, starting from pharmaceuticals to automotive. So this was evident, and we are now in front of something that we have to carefully assess, because it will definitely change. And all of this happens in parallel with the Industrial Revolution, right? We talk about the fourth Industrial Revolution and the more digital transformation in the manufacturing. So more customer-centric. We have to deliver as an organization in a faster way, and we talked a lot over the last 10, 20 years about just-in-time and lean production, but now we talk about very advanced automation, reliable services, and all of these things are generating a change of the paradigm. And what does this mean? It means that, if I can change, yes. It means that we talk in manufacturing and in supply chain about digital operation. And this is a field which is being sandwiched between two major, let's say, forces. One is the changing customer expectations. We have the reflex of sharing instant information, and we expect to be delivered super fast. We want to have personalized products. We all know how we order our products. We want to know when we have ordered and where is our product and how fast we can get it, and everything in between. And we like to interact with the organizations in a seamless way. Either we go to the shops, or we go to the web portal, or we go to a mobile. And nowadays the reflex is mobile first. So the customer is driving is a driving force which generates a lot of pressure in terms of how we organize the manufacturing. What does this mean for the supply chain? And therefore we have to transform. At the same time, more and more we hear about the Industrial Revolution. And what does this mean? We talk about thousands of sensors which generate very high amount of data. We talk about more and more intelligent machines that are connected to each other and are able to adjust if there are changes downstream from them. We deploy those data in a cloud, and cloud is something that is become a commodity, is no longer the tool of the rich enterprises, but the cost of adoption is going lower and lower, and smaller enterprises have access to it. And why is this important in the fourth Industrial Revolution? Is because the more data we put there, the more advanced analytics we can do, big data solutions, and the more we crunch this data, the more we can increase our cognitive capabilities, and therefore say we have a part that needs to be supplied from another country, and it comes with a maritime transfer, but there is a storm or a hurricane which is impacting the operation, obviously, or the weather has changed suddenly. So we can adapt immediately and change the processes in the manufacturing. So these are things that companies are adopting, and those who don't, they are left behind. So the competition here is extremely intense. And those forces, not only those, but mainly those, they drive the need for an integrated business planning. It drives the need for an operations at a different level. And when you look at the traditional supply chain, and I don't want to say here that all organizations work in a traditional chain where you order first parts from the supplier. You get an order from a client first, of course, and then you start to look where you can get the parts to plan your manufacturing, how afterwards you can organize your distribution and so forth. So you have like a linear chain, and the ripples in those supply chain will definitely impact the end result and the experience of every of these actors. With the pace of changes right now, this is no longer feasible, and we want to talk to you about a different way, a connected value chain, where you have a central place which is collecting information from all of the relevant actors. In this case, we talk about the client, we talk about where we have production, we talk about our suppliers, and of course about our distribution. And all of that information needs to flow in a way that it's easily adaptable. So you see, we want to bring here the customer-centric approach and all of the implications to be ready available in the supply chain. We are not saying this is easy, but what we are saying is that the transformation is mandatory for organizations to compete in order to become effective in the current digital age. And how does it look from a conceptual point of view, the digital operations structure? So if you think of the control tower from the previous page, what we have is a level of vertical integration and 8 elements which drive the digital operation. And you have at the top level, you have integrated planning and execution, and you have the product configurator, you have your smart order management, you have the inventory planning, which are key elements in your supply chain. Then you have a level of data transparency and visibility, which is available to all relevant actors from a central place in order for a decision maker to be able to act swiftly. Then you have your actors, of course, and the places where the production happens, from suppliers to warehouse to the plant itself, the client and the distribution. And lower below, you have the procurement levels, the manufacturing. We talk about smart manufacturing. I told you about the intelligent factory in the Industrial Revolution 4.0, the warehousing, and the autonomous logistics. Another 4 elements which are important. And below that, you have the data analytics. We call it here prescriptive, because prescriptive means that you are able to take decisions before a certain factor can impact you negatively. So you have data available real time, you analyze it, and you realize that there would be a change that will, if not addressed, will have an impact that negatively affects you. So therefore, you are able to react quicker. For example, you have this external data, as I was mentioning, weather or social listening. You hear bad stuff about your products and you want to understand why. And finally, at the lower level, you have the enablers. You can talk here about the sensors, about the connected machines which exchange data to another on the assembly lines, and make all of this possible. In this webinar, my colleagues will talk mostly about the first two layers, which are highlighted here. Let me quickly just say a few words about why we are standing here together as PwC and SAP. The main reason is because we are very complementary. So we have great tools and science and technology from SAP. We don't need to talk too much about that because it's a well-known company which provides great tools. And on our side, we are known for our business expertise, for industry knowledge, and our IT capabilities to put those things together. So therefore, we complement each other and we go together in front of clients. We can address all angles of the engagement, and therefore you don't feel that there is a part that's missing and is left unaddressed. How we do this? In PwC, we have something which is derived from design thinking, and I like this a lot because we talk about business experience and technology lenses. And when I say lens, you can imagine a magnifying lens which puts a focus on what is the business case for which you want to make a change. What is your plan around that? Can we make an assessment and what of the current situation and what does it mean for you? How does this impact the operating model? What are the mitigation risks? So we bring in the business lens and we address all of your points, because ultimately you don't want as a client to transform just for the sake of transforming. You need to achieve some objectives. Then we bring the experience, and we ask clients to join us in a decoupled business environment. So unconstrained about your business, regular business work. And we ask clients to imagine what would the product or the solution you need look like in an ideal world. We do a lot of usability testing. We do a lot of research. We even do mock-ups and prototypes. And this produces excellent results. And it is easier adopted because the client works with us together. So it's not us as a supplier coming and telling you what to do, but it is a joint approach. And finally, we bring in the technology lens, which is helping evaluating the best solution, the best design, what is the data model. We do a prototype. We take in account all elements related to security and so forth. And those things together we call BXT methodology, and we know that this works very well in engagements. Finally, and then I will give the word to my colleague, we bring in a best practice, which in the SAP world is called Rapid Development Technology. And why is this important for you is because we come with already developed plans, methodologies, and implementation strategies. We come with easy functionality which is specific to your industry or a type of business. And in general, we bring 60 to 70% pre-configured content, and the remainder of that will be customizable to your needs. So we mix the best of what has been learned in the industry. We pre-configure the solution to your needs and then deliver it to you. I hope that this helped understand why we want to talk deeper to you about integrated business planning. And I want to give the word to Gregor Lonchar from SAP to continue the webinar.
Yeah, thank you, Gabriel, for your introduction and giving me words and activity to go to the next slides. And thank you for inviting me. And I really take this as a privilege to contribute to this webinar from the PwC, from the Integrated Business Planning. But first, yeah, as Gabriel said, my name is Gregor Lončar. I'm coming from Slovenia. I'm part of the SAP Digital Supply Chain department and working as a pre-sales in decision. So hopefully after the pandemic, when I will be able to travel around, I will also visit, as I visited already a lot of times in the previous years, Romania, and will be able to talk with you directly. But unfortunately now it's such times, and let's use this new technology, not new, but technology to connect between each other and collaborate. And I can give you the message about our quite important tool which we are positioning inside of the end-to-end supply chain. But first, I would like to start with one slide who is showing you the, let's say, the whole SAP product portfolio, that you will see how IBP and integrated business planning fits into the story. So here is the main, let's say, main slide of our product portfolio, and in the center, of course, you have Intelligent Suite, which is by us either ECC or now in the new paradigm which we are bringing to the market is S/4HANA. And around this, we are acquiring and building the new product portfolio for different parts. Of course, S/4HANA is mainly for the, let's say, for the finance and for the sales processes oriented. But around it, there are several pillars which we are supporting with several families of the products. And if you look on the left side, you have the areas of the departments of procurement, where we have Ariba, for example, as a product. Then you have HR, where we have SuccessFactors, Digital Core is S/4HANA, and then we are coming to the manufacturing and supply chain. And this is by us a quite important department, and SAP is heavily investing into this department and also into the product portfolio. On the right side, you see we have the cloud platform, and we are slowly bringing most of our products into the cloud. And as Gabriel already said, it is becoming very obvious that customers are going to the cloud solutions. Adoptions of this solution is much quicker and cheaper than on the premise solution, and also the maintenance and all the stuff which is coming with the on-prem solutions. And also IBP, which we will be talking today, it is a cloud solution. So we are connecting your ERP, which can be SAP or can be also any other ERP. IBP is not only for the SAP ERPs. We just need to connect to promptly bring the data into the master data platform or the IBP, so that you connect your, let's say, all the departments which are working with the ERP, also with the IBP solution, and the data are exchanging seamlessly. Let's go now to the manufacturing and digital supply chain. How does it look? How we look to this? Let's say all the end-to-end story of the digital supply chain. On the left side, you have a picture which is obvious and normal still in most of the companies in our region, let's say like this, in our region. You have different departments who are responsible for different tasks. But what is the problem in such organization is that all those departments are not really very well connected. So there is a lack of information exchange between these departments. And with one word, efficiency is not on the highest possible level between these departments. And what we see in SAP, that we should integrate all these departments into one end-to-end connected chain, which, let's say, in the midterm future, we will be able even to make a type of digital twin of such entire digital supply chain. So you will be able to simulate potential changes into the supply chain and see how this affects on the efficiency of your and outcome of your whole supply chain. So the goal is to go into the direction of the integrated digital supply chain, which is on the right side. And this is the topic which I will be just shortly talking today on the IBP, from the IBP level. So if we go into the next slide, we are coming just to give you a short brief of this design to operate. This is our, let's say, a kind of buzzword for the entire end-to-end supply chain. We are starting with always in the design or in the supply chain with the design of the products. It can be discrete industry where you are designing a part, or it can be a process industry where you are designing some type of recipe and then making this as a product. So it doesn't matter. We are having here several products which are helping you with the intelligent product design, with recipe development, putting together all the costs, some simulations, how changing of ingredients can affect the also the profit analyze at the end of such products. So this is a design phase where we are talking PLM is also part of this process which we are supporting. So this is the design phase, and the outcome of the design phase is so-called electronic BOM, which you are giving to the manufacturing site. That means to the shop floor where they are producing the product. But we have one part before. It is the planning process, because what we see is that the planning process should be connected and somehow integrated into all these parts in the design of operate. And this is the important. And we want to bring this as a main function also to the IBP, to the Intelligent Business Planning, which we will be talking afterwards. So planning is really something which is connecting all these pillars inside of the end-to-end supply chain into one end-to-end process. If you are going to, now we are coming to the manufacturing. So manufacturing is getting the electronic BOM and some receipts or instructions how to develop the products. And then what we can do on the shop floor, we have here products like manufacturing execution system from SAP, MES. And then we have also another thing which is quite important is production planning and detailed scheduling, which is PPDS, which is helping you with the planning, but on the production level. It is something different than business planning. It is more related to the shop floor and really to the machines, to the working centers, and how you plan the production of your products through the production line. These are most important. There are also some other products in this manufacturing, but MES and PPDS, from my perspective, is something which is gaining most interest in our region. When you develop the product and you manufacture it, then you have to deliver it to the end customer. And then now we are coming to the third part, which is the deliver part. And probably you have already heard SAP is quite strong, very strong here with our products. We are also leaders in the Gartner quadrant, like, for example, transportation management for getting the efficiency in the transport, and also the warehouse management, because from the manufacturing you put the product into the warehouse, and then out of the warehouse you plan the transport, and then you go the product on the transportation units, and then you plan the transport further on. So these are the most important areas in the deliver phase. And then from the deliver phase, the last phase where we come is operate phase. Maybe it's not so important for all of you. It is related to the asset management because, you know, when you develop the product, maybe this is more related to the discrete industry, not so much to the process industry. But for example, in the automotive, when you develop the product, you as a developer, production of this product, you are interested how your product is behaving on the market, and you are trying to get some information back from the product, how it's behaving. And this is also related to the IoT and to some sensors which are inside of the product. And this information is helping you with the designing of the new versions of the new capabilities and maybe enhancing or correcting your product. Just one example. For example, a big user of the IBP in very close region is also company Gorenje, which you all know from Slovenia. They're producing these machines for the home appliances. That means washing machines, wash dishers, and all these things. And their new business model, which they're trying to achieve, is that they will give you all this equipment, not, I would not say for free, but maybe for some small amount of money, which will be enough for some type of maintenance of this product. But then, based on the information they will get from the machine, how much you will use it, when you will use it, what type of program you will use on this machine, they will charge you as a service. So such type of connected products between the producer and also the user is enabling producer to go to the totally different type of business approach. That means to sell you washing machine as a service, not only as a equipment. Yeah. So this is we call this area asset intelligent network, and this is also gaining quite a lot of momentum. Maybe not yet in our region, but you know our region is always let's say 1 year, 2 years back of all the developments, and after that probably it will come also to our area. Okay, so I come to the end of this design to operate. So this is the whole end-to-end supply chain, and you see here with the red planning is something which is connecting all these departments seamlessly together into one connected end-to-end supply chain and giving them possibility to look to the planning process and contribute to this process, which is the most relevant and important part of this integrated business planning. Okay, so now I'm coming to the main topic which we will be talking today. It is so-called SAP IBP solution. This solution is not version 1.0, just to not to be scared. It is already on the market for 3-4 years, but recently it's really getting the momentum in all the countries. And what means if it's getting momentum? It means that we in SAP are heavily investing into this solution. It means that there is new version each quarter already, and new functionalities and new technologies are coming into this IBP solution. So it's really the right time to jump on this train and really go further on with our IBP solution for integrated business planning. And one evidence is also our position in the Gartner quadrant, which you see on the right side on the top. We are in the leader quadrant with among the vendors who have such solutions for integrated business planning. The next picture is the picture how we see that it is normally situation. Now I will start to go and give you the context of the whole solution. That means what it consists of, what is used for, what can we do with it, how can we work with it, just for you to give you the overview to understand if you will get this IBP in front of you in your browser or in your Excel, what you can expect and what you can do. So this is normal situation in most of the companies. That means different departments are doing, when they are doing planning, they are doing their own planning sheet. That means marketing is doing their own planning, sales is doing their own planning, some guys in the operations are looking to this plan. Production is looking to the capacity possibility of their production line, and according to the planning requirements, and also to the planning horizon. And then there is planners who are also collecting all this stuff. And at the end of the day, at least in our region, what I see is that normally ladies or guys in the finance department, especially in the controlling, they are getting all this information on the table and trying to consolidate all these sheets into one consolidated consensus demand plan. And this is, it's working, let's say it's working, but it brings a lot of problems, and especially when things are changing. And as Gabriel already said, currently the markets are changing very fast, and changes are everywhere. And we have to have something where we are able to react on the changes very fast. And yes, current situation is that these people probably in the controlling and planning department, they're trying to put everything together and find a way to bring, based on the financial budget that they have, and some profit budgets, profit objectives, to bring some consensus plan for the whole company. And when something is changing, they are getting changes, and they have to correct this. And people are not working on the same data because they are dislocated, and this is not really the right situation we would like to have. So IBP is trying and is doing this very well, is bringing everything into the really lean and consistent workflow. So each department, all departments are working on really the same master data. These master data are in cloud, and they're replicating constantly with the data in your ERP solution. And these are in the cloud, and all these departments are doing their own based on the process workflow, which we will define inside of the IBP, who is doing what needs to be done, and when something is finished, then another department is coming into the planning activity. When they are finished, another department, and then at the end we have a consolidated consensus demand plan or planning. And this is what is the aim of the IBP. That means bring you an environment where all of you can work on the same data, where everybody understands what each department is doing, where it is also evident inside of the platform what was done by each department, what was done by each person. So there is all information, and where everything is very transparent to all the participants in the process of the planning inside of the company. Now I'm coming to the capabilities, let's say, of such IBP platform, which we are positioning to the customer. So, as I said, this is the cloud platform, so it is residing in the SAP cloud environment, and you are logging with your, there are two user interfaces. One user interface is from the web browser, where you have some nice dashboards, where you have defining all the processes inside of the IBP. You are defining your steps which you are doing in your planning process. You are showing in very nice dashboards some KPIs which you are interested in And this is extremely useful also for the overlook for the planners. It is also quite interesting for the management board because they can get immediately reports out of the planning, which can be sometimes quite difficult because in some areas you are first doing some planning and then you are bringing data and doing some reports. And this is probably in the separate solutions and you have difficulties with all this stuff. Here you have with this analytics, which is included in the IBP, you have on the same place also possibility to do such type of reports and to show the results of your planning process also to the management board, because at the end the management board will confirm the whole planning process, planning plan, And another interface, which we also use, is interface through the Excel, and you will see this when Mihai will show you this in the demo after my presentation. So it is still the same interface you are using now. We have a plugin inside of the Excel, so Excel is connecting real time to the data inside of the IBP platform in the cloud. And inside of the Excel, you will see that you will be able to do in a very same manner as you are doing now, but with the master data which are unique and which are the same for all the participants in the planning process. You can do some simulations inside of the IBP, which is also a very useful thing because you are not touching the production data in the planning process. You are just simulating what will happen if I will change like this or that, which I will change this data, I will change this constraint, what will happen. And when you are clear that your changes are producing something positive to your planning process, then you can put this data upload to the production master data. But you can do this also like on your own data without touching the master data. You have also a role-based environment. That means depends on what role you are in the company. You are accessing the data and the processes you are obliged to do this. That means you are not seeing everything. Depends on the administrator, how the administrator fits all the platform. So this is only why maybe this is important, because sometimes some customers want to integrate also the other third parties into their planning process. For example, some suppliers to see what is going on with the inventory, and maybe they get a notification and they can connect to your IBP platform, and based on their role, they will see only their data and only what they are responsible for. And you know, not anymore exchanging of via email some Excel spreadsheets or maybe some electronic data exchange, whatever you have, but they can even connect to your planning process, and based on alerts which are happening inside of your system, they can get the notification to maybe fulfill, replenish the stock with their parts which they are supplying. We have also some such cases in the IBP, which is quite efficient in a way. So I was talking, okay, here is another picture which I have been already talking a lot about these topics, but IBP is bringing this complete scalable model into one picture. Real-time what-if scenario planning is inside of the IBP. Simulations can be done. Collaboration is important. That means integrating all the parties who are doing the planning process into the same data, into the same master data, which was not case before. And intuitive user interfaces, which I said, it is a web user interface with all the dashboards which are needed, and also another for really refine planning with Excel spreadsheet and Excel user interface and all the tools which are inside. And Mihai will explain the demo more on this topic. Now I'm coming to the structure, let's say, how to say structure. IBP as a platform is structured from five components, and each component is specific for something, I will tell, but one which is most important, and most of the customers, let's say 60–70% of the customers are starting with, is so-called SAP Integrated Business Planning for Sales and Operations, S&OP. Because in these components you are getting supply planning, you are getting demand planning, you are getting all the environment which is needed for such planning process. So more or less something which is for start to establish a collaborative planning environment on the whole end-to-end supply chain in your company is more or less most important. And this is something where most of the companies are starting with. And of course, in this you have, on the right down side, you have this web user interface, as you see, with very nice dashboards and some very nice graphs. And on the other side, you are coming to the Excel spreadsheet, which is also part of the whole IBP. So also as well from sales and operation planning, where you can do in Excel sheet some what-if scenarios, some alerts you can define. You can even integrate financial figures inside of the S&OP, like financial budgets or some profits or some margins. And this is important by the planning process, which was not, for example, possible in APO before. This was not former, it is still a product, but we are moving from the APO product towards the IBP. And in future, IBP will be just under the roadmap and the development. You can define the constraints here in SAP, both on the detailed and aggregated level. So everything what you important and needed for sales and operational planning. Next component is demand. Of course, you have, let's say, demand planning also in S&OP. But for example, if you are interested into some specifics into the demand planning, for example, if you are absolutely focused in the forecast accuracy, if you want to raise it for probably your forecast accuracy currently is 60%, something like that. You want to bring it up to the 70%. You have some additional algorithms inside of the demand model. You already have several algorithms in the S&OP in the demand planning. But here you have, for example, some additional algorithms. You have, if you have an industry where you have, for example, some seasonal goods, and you want to have an algorithm who is working with such conditions, you have these additional ones. For example, if you have some perishable goods, and you want to have a type of demand sensing, we are calling, you have some special algorithm for this. For example, consumer goods, some production of fishes and selling fishes on the market. You know, it's really perishable goods. It's maybe 1 to 3, 4 days, and you need to have a really sensitive demand planning for in the horizon of 1 week or a few days. And with such demand sensing algorithm inside of this demand model, you can be much more effective here. So yes, in the demand module, which is the second module, I have to say, which customers are implementing. When you implement IBP, you are getting all the modules immediately, everything, so you can work. We are just looking how you are using this, and then when you are using some additional algorithms that makes your efficiency much better, or forecast accuracy from the demand, then you have to have also this demand module for your usage. But here we have, here you can see on this slide that we integrate into the demand module all the new technologies which exist on the market, from the machine learning from the artificial intelligence, just to bring you the accuracy of the demand, calculating accuracy of the demand much better. Okay, so we will have to go a little bit quicker because I have to keep the time. So this is the picture of the whole, let's say, planning process. Maybe consumer goods, you have some segmentations of the products, time series analysis, coming into the consensus demand planning, statistical forecasting, and this is the plan of the inside of the IBP, how process and how the things are working. Next thing is the response and supply. Response and supply is a module. Of course, you have supply planning also in S&OP, but here you can go more into the details, how you manage to plan more detailed your supply. We are adding to this module a tool called Optimizer, which is taking into the consideration costs of your supply. With costs, I mean, for example, lead time is a cost. Maybe transportation cost is also a cost. Your supplier can be preferred supplier or semi-preferred or not preferred. This is also a cost. And when you put all these factors into the optimizer, then optimizer can calculate you from which source to supply based on this and that and that and that costs. Is much more efficient or is efficient, and you will be able to get all your goods right in the time for your planning. Here is a picture. You have customers on the left, you have distribution centers, you have the production, and you have suppliers on the right side. And the supply response and supply is dealing with such multi-level supply chain, for example. And with optimization, you can distribute the inventory to the different levels of this your supply chain, and to make with optimization your supply chain efficient. The first module is inventory, where what we are targeting here with inventory, of course, the reason for what your goal is, of course, to improve the customer service levels. That means how much of the goods are available on your stock all the time, what percentage is available on the stock all the time. And with this inventory module, you can optimize inventories. That means how to say optimize is, first of all, probably you want to reduce the inventory, because if you reduce too much inventory, is not good for the finance department because too much costs. And on the other side, you want to bring it to the enough inventory that your customer service level is on your level that you want. And of course, you want to place this inventory in the right place, because this is also the pain for the supply planners. And inventory is the module with which you can optimize such KPIs which are relevant for you. Now we are coming to the last module of the IBP. It is Supply Chain Control Tower. Let's say I'm not seeing really a huge interest in our region for this. It is a kind of umbrella of all the modules, and if you have production which is spread all around the world, you can define some alerts in some of the processes in the IBP, and you have a kind of unique view on all your production and all your supply, and you can drill down then where the notification pops up. Like a kind of red alert, you can drill down to the cause of the problem and solve this problem if you are some type of operational guy responsible for the supply chain process. So these are all these modules. What I would like now to show you also two references, which I think are interesting. We implement IBP probably, our IBP is implemented probably in all the industries, from telco, from consumer industry, from discrete manufacturing, from process manufacturing, from pharma, government, energy, utilities. So whoever is doing business planning process, we find a way how they can make it much more efficient with IBP. But from the, let's say, Romania part of story, I want to focus a little bit to the consumer goods, like Lamp and Weston. They are producing these chips, and what was their main goal was, as you see on the top, they want to reduce, and they managed to reduce safety stock, which they have by 18% using this automatic calculation and advanced planning models. And return of investment for their investment into such application and development was less, was 6 months. So you can see that there was obvious benefit out of implementation. Another one is from the automotive, because I see also in Romania a lot of strong automotive area. Okay, it's not exactly the right time talking about automotive is a little bit struggling at the moment in all the countries. But, you know, with some more precise planning process, you can make this struggling even a little bit lower than it is at the moment. And since, for example, Continental is doing this with IBP, and what they want to achieve is they have a lot of sales agents, they have a lot of productions, and they didn't have consolidated planning process and overview on the production line and overview on the capacity on the production line, which is infecting the planning process. And with implementation of the S&OP, they are able now even to look what is the level of the capacity in their production lines and how this can be affected on the whole planning process. And this was the main benefit of such reference. So I finished with this. So I'm giving now words to the Mihai, who will show you the demo of this solution, and probably for sure you will be very satisfied with what you will see. And questions and answers at the end. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. First of all, let me thank Gabriel and Gregor for their introduction. We are going to see the solution. We are going to see the interfaces in action. But first, we need to talk about what the solution and the business case behind it will be. I will skip up this slide because Gabi already explained it. It's the general business view of the integrated business planning. We focus, as also Gabriel explained, on the IBP supply and operation planning. This is mainly due to your feedback that you completed in our survey. Thank you very much for that. 75% of you were interested in this area, IBP supply and operation planning. Then we invented a company which is dealing with pharmaceutical products. It's called Meditari. We gave it a business case. We gave it some fictional plants in Frankfurt, Beijing, and Atlanta. And we are going to go step by step through a S&OP process. We will start with a demand review process in SAP IBP. We will then review the sales forecast, the marketing forecast, and the annual operating plan. And this is what Gregor was mentioning. We will then see how you can compare and see all those figures in an integrated way. So you can see the deviations and analyze exactly what each department did. We will be completing the demand reviewing process, and we will stop with this, and I will explain why. And then we will see how we can review and even add master data in Excel. The business case, as I told you, is for this fictive company that we have, the Meditari AG. We have defined several master data. You will see it in the system. We have defined different products with a product ID, with a description, with a product group and a product family. We will see how you can aggregate and disaggregate the forecast and how you can drill down to the level of the product or to the level of the product family. You can see how flexible the tool is in identifying or pinpointing a possible issue. So let's start. I will share my screen now and we can get started. Okay, hopefully everybody can see my screen. Let's do a short introduction of the interface. So this is your web interface, which is available on laptop, tablet, or smartphone. So you can customize it and you can see alerts on your smartphone. You can respond to tasks on your smartphone. You can do everything in an integrated way. You can then come to your laptop and drill down to more issues. You have a very customizable front screen here. These are so-called tiles in SAP terminology. You can think of them as apps. You can install SAP Fiori on your smartphone and download specific apps that you want to see and that you want to control via your smartphone. Also, you can customize this and you can only see the parts that are of interest to you. This is my dashboard. I have more permissions because I'm an administrator, but a typical business user will only have a select few. So let's start the process. I'm going to go to manage process. And here you can see I have a lot of processes. This is based on the groups of people that I'm assigned to. I will go to my open processes and do a filter descending by start date. And already you can see I can find a process where myself and my colleague Julia are responsible. It takes a small amount of time to load, and then I can see I have some 4 steps here that are not started, part of the demand review, and then supply review, reconciliation review, and managed business review. It was what Gregor was mentioning when he said that you can have a full overview of your supply chain process. Today we're going to focus on this part, the demand review, and I can immediately go and see what the steps are in this part. I can also go down and see a really nice Gantt chart with deadlines and completion process. So you can see where the process, if it gets stuck, where it gets stuck, and who's responsible by when to finish it. This is totally customizable to your company's needs. You can define it as flexible as you want. This can also be recurrent for S&OP process. A typical company runs the S&OP either monthly or on a quarterly basis. So you can define it once and then it automatically updates quarterly or monthly for you to start the demand process. You get a notification and so on. It's really simple and it's really a nice tool to have. Let me go home here, and then I can go to the dashboard. Again, I can filter here, say 28, and I have a process here that I should start on. You see these nice graphics that say that each step that has to be done in a S&OP review. Again, I can see my tasks here, and I'm going to start the process. I'm going to set it in process. Okay, and now let's move on to the second interface. One of the common questions I get on, or I used to get on projects before SAP introduced this tool was, how can I download that in Excel? Where is the download button? What can I do? And how can I move the data from SAP to Excel so I can calculate it myself? There's no more need for that. As also Gregor mentioned, we have an add-on, an IBP. So you're basically in your normal Excel here. It's nothing special. Just an add-on has been installed that is connected to the cloud, to your IBP system. And here you can either from your favorites or from a list of templates that we can define together. It's usually the business consultant that defines them together with business. You define some templates and then you load them. So let's go ahead and start the sales forecast overview, which, if you remember, was the first step on our review sales on our list here. Review sales forecast. Now my sales forecast has been loaded, and this is a predefined template, and this is a so-called planning book. So what I see here are the sales forecast quantity and the open order. I can see it from 2019 September to 2020. This can also be edited. I can choose freely whatever period I want. This has been defined in monthly buckets, but you can drill down to it and see it even in daily or weekly buckets if you want. You have attributes that you can define freely. These are coming with SAP standards, so you have a lot of attributes that you can play around with and set as your filters. You have the key figures, you have the layout that is totally customizable according to your business needs. And most important, you have alerts that you can set in place. If a specific event happens, you'll automatically receive an alert of, I don't know, demand being wrongly calculated or actuals being 20% less than what you forecasted. Now let's go ahead and go back to this. So I can, as you see here, April has not been a good month for us in this Meditaria AG company because of this coronavirus, but now we're slowly picking up speed. So I can enter the sales forecast quantity here, modify it and say 2000. This is so far only on my PC, on my own computer, and I can run simulations on it. I have a lot of options, a lot of so-called heuristics, which are basically complex algorithms that help me decide and calculate the best strategy. I can run them. I can see what figures fit best for my process. And this can be done locally without any harm to any other system. Once I'm confident that my planning is correct, I will just simply save the data with nice icon sending it to the cloud. I need to provide a reason why. I can provide an input. And save it. It automatically gets sent to the cloud, to IBP. And why is that important? We will see when we open the consensus planning. It's taking a bit to save, but it usually happens immediately on the spot. Let's go ahead and click cancel for now. And let's move on to the next step that we have here, which is review the marketing forecast. Here on the marketing forecast, we see loading now. We see a different view. It is again customizable. And if I decide that I want to only see a specific region, or I'm in charge of a specific region, I can just simply select it and see that specific region. I can get rid of filters, or I can filter by product family. It's really easy. It's really intuitive. It's, in my opinion, a really good and elegant solution from SAP that it's user-friendly. You get all the benefits of Excel and the benefits of the complex algorithms in IBP in this.
Mihai, we do not hear you. Okay, I think Mihai fell victim to the technology, so we have a little bit of an issue, but Mihai, we don't hear you.
Okay, that's loaded. Really nice. Not that good. Let me load it from the template.
Mihai?
Yeah, a better view over here. So again, you can enter your annual operating plan here. You can define it freely. And moving on to the next one, if I go to my consensus demand plan, this is the place where Gregor was mentioning that eliminates your blind spots. So you see what every company was, what every department in your company was working on, and you get to decide what's the best approach for your company. So this is the consensus demand plan over here, but you can see the sales forecast quantity, you can see the marketing, and you can see the annual operating plan. So it's a really good platform for integrating all the department's input and coming up with a plan that fits everything. And again, it's an Excel. I can do an average as simple as an Excel. It shows me what's the average of the forecast, so I can decide, hey, I want to go with average or more. I want to go with something else. Again, you can also run a simulation to see exactly what your plan will produce. It's really simple. It's really on the spot, and it's again a very, very useful tool to have. Now, if I go back to this one and I put my process in complete, I can review it yet again with a very nice graphical form. I can drill down or go to more details, go to analytic details in this nice tool and see exactly what a location will do. So for example, I want to see the factory that I had defined to see what their numbers are. I have a lot of filters that are coming with SAP standards. Just to have an idea, this is the amount of filters you will get as standard. So nothing has been done to this. I'm just showing you the standard filters. I can add an additional filter here, product family, and then I can select, let's see, the cardiac product, and I can drill down even further. I can go to the exact material that interests me. I can do pretty much all my analytics or all my data review from this graphical form. I have also consensus demand revenue, and this is splitting my products by ABC and XYZ. ABC, you know, the analysis is the highest selling are A, the low selling are C, XYZ is the demand, X is the linear demand, Y is the seasonal demand, and Z, which we don't have, are the sporadic ones that you get the order in January, you get another one in March, and so on, that are not really constant. So you can have this data analysis also on ABC, XYZ type of analysis. It's a really, really efficient tool for you to overview all the data. Let's move on, because I was mentioning master data in the beginning and how easy it is. You can also create master data from here. You can choose the master data that you want to create, and you can create your new customer over here. Again, when you're finished with creating it, you go to the save data, you upload it to the cloud, to IBP, and everybody in the company is able to see the same product or the same customer. Again, you can have a product here. You can have a new product introduction. You can basically control your whole supply chain from this Excel interface, which is a really good step forward from SAP. That's what I wanted to show you today. Hopefully you got a better idea of what the solution is like, and what's the feel, and what's the actual benefit of having it. And hopefully you have a lot of questions that you want to ask.
Thank you, Mihai. Yeah, I think it was really interesting. Yes, we have a couple of questions, and I wanna kickstart the Q&A session. The first one says the following: is it possible to achieve a common international template of functionality, and what synergies can we get? You mentioned 70% common. So I think more people should answer this. I would only say the following, that if you are closer to the standard product and you are using the standard functionality, yes, you can get more synergies. The more customization you have, the more this, let's say, goes a little bit down. But I want to hear also if Gregor or Mihai, you have anything to add.
So what we usually do in an implementation is try to establish a baseline and then do the rollout to different countries. So it's typically what the aim of any project should be is standardization. So once you establish a baseline in your first implementing countries, it's advisable to roll out to the other countries. So yes, that's the aim, to have a unified planning view, for example, in my case.
Yeah, what I can add is from the project with Gorenje. Gorenje has a production line in Velenje. This is the city in Slovenia, but the sales departments are in 18 countries all around the world. And they implemented first the template for the IBP for the central headquarter sales department. And then slowly, in a period of 1 year and something, they made, like Mihai already said, a rollout of the same template to all others countries and the sales business units which they have in different countries. And yes, the same template for all of them, yeah, and good synergy.
Okay, thank
I would
you.
like, if I can add just a few things.
Sure.
Regarding the possible collaboration, so what is also possible is to create some specific groups, and the groups, for example, a demand group that will contain people from different countries, and also what could be achieved is to have a collaboration platform that is called SAP GEM, and through this collaboration platform, the communication between the members of the group can be done really easily. So this is also something that can easily be integrated with IBP. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
All right. Thank you, Julia. So I hope we answered the question. Next one would be, is IBP a cloud solution only, or is there an on-premise option?
It is only a cloud. Yeah.
All right. So you need to embrace the cloud revolution. So that is what we are saying.
Yeah, but yes.
No, I think it's fine. We talked a lot about the industrial revolution and about digital operation. I think it's high time that
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
preconceptions about cloud needs to be set aside.
Yeah, as I said, also SAP is also moving with a lot of solutions in the cloud. So this is really something that when you're talking about the digitalization of the company, you cannot avoid. Yeah, this is something which is obvious and commodity.
Right, exactly. So another question is if multiple users are using the same data, so how do table locks work? So this is very technical. Mihai or Julia, or
maybe I can add here. For example, I have been talking that you are entering into the IBP platform as in a role-based environment. So you have your own login. When you're connecting your Excel spreadsheet to the IBP environment, to the master data, you are logging with user, I don't know, Mihai.1. And when you are accessing this data, you are working on your own, on your own set of, let's say, changes and data. Because you are working in your own environment, you are not touching the master data yet. When you are satisfied with all your decisions and with all your changing to the planning process, and when you are updating the master data, then it's coming to the locking technology. So, of course, that two persons cannot lock in the same time the same data. But this is not happening really all the times. And what you can have in IBP is also the snapshots. That means that you don't need to be afraid if you update the master data and then your whole planning schema template is, let's say, corrupt. If you do something wrong, you have a snapshot from the previous.
All right.
Let me add something. It's a bit different from the ERP technology that we're used to, that if you're trying to modify a piece of master data and you set a lock on the table, it will automatically give you an error that somebody else is working on that. It's deaggregated, you're working on your own data, and then you're sending it to a cloud.
All right, clear. Another question I think it's interesting is we work with several scenarios at the same time right now, so -5, -10, -15% versus 2019. The tool looks friendly. Is there also material management for replenishment interface? The current SAP available transactions are a challenge. Greg, would you take it?
I'm not sure I understood the question.
Basically the question is there an interface for material management for replenishment? So in the context.
In general, we can build interfaces between the IBP system and different other solutions like S/4HANA, or if you have an ERP or ECC on-premise, interfaces can be built. The interfaces are built through the SAP Cloud Platform integration, and through them also data referring to material management can be brought, like for example data referring to the product.
So, yeah, the person who asked the question is probably putting the interface in the context of the simulation of the scenarios, because they do planning for this year versus the previous one, and they have these three baselines: -5, -10, -15. So when they run the scenarios, they are probably asking to see what will be the impact to replenishment.
This, like Julia said, that probably this needs to be what is possible developed. That means just building the interface, the replenishment process in the material management.
Okay, so the answer is it is possible, but it's a custom development.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. What else? Another question is asking: is it possible to activate more than one planning area at the same time?
Yes, that is possible. We've been doing that also in our internal system. So.
Okay. Good. There is another question: is can we share dashboards? I don't think there is a context, but probably between shared dashboards between users or something like this.
I would suggest, if you want to share to the specific user dashboards, to give him authorities to log into the IBP and look to these dashboards, because dashboards are changing. But if you want to share it, then you can download the CDS data and you can upload them in your local Excel, or the person who wants to see it yeah. So you can download this data because you have a button on the dashboard to download the data of this dashboard, and then you can display it in another system where you send it. If this is
okay.
The answer, yeah. Okay. But preferred way is to give access to the user to look to these dashboards, because they're changing. You know, it's not.
And you can also define a group of people that are assigned to a specific view, for example. So if your planners should have access to a specific dashboard, you can define them and put them in a group based on authorization, and they can all access and see the same data.
Exactly.
Okay, good. So I think this was the last question. We don't have other questions. But I do hope that the webinar was interesting for the participants, and that they have now new ideas to think about how to optimize their supply chain operations and what such a solution can do for their current environment. And we hope to hear soon from those interested and delve deeper into their objectives and problems and see how we can help them.
We can even create some prototypes specific to your business that will maybe help you decide if that's a good fit for you. It's usually what we have been doing in the past with IBP because it's a relatively new technology and people want to see it in action. So you provide a limited set of data and we customize it to your specific business needs.
Definitely. All right, then thank you very much to all who spent the time to listen to us. Once again, I hope it was useful and we are looking to hear feedback and questions from you further on. Thank you so much, and thank you to my colleagues who have been part of the webinar. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
No.